You know what I love about Swedish cars? Apart from the fact that they're often really well set up for miserable wet weather, it's that they're also often a little bit different. Whether it's Volvo's 5-cylinder engines or Saab's turbos, there's usually a refreshing twist, and sometimes it's for the better. So what's this then? A V8 in a massive Volvo four-wheel drive? Now don't tell me that Volvo has succumbed that much to that ginormous fuel-loving American market. Yep, on the surface it seems like the XC90 V8 has pulverised any hope of environmental efficiency from a country that loves to see the world through green eyes. I mean, just listen to that bellowing V8. Sure, it sounds good and it gets the 2.1 tonne four-wheel drive to 100 k's an hour in a thoroughly disrespectful 7.3 seconds. And it does it all with a lovely V8 thirst. Although it isn't all bad news. You see, yes, it does use a fair bit of fuel, but it uses on average about 13.5 litres per 100 kilometres. Now, to put that into perspective, that's less than most V8 sedans, and it's certainly pretty good for the class of vehicle. See, the rain hasn't stopped. Now, there's also something else pretty interesting about this engine. Sure, it's 4.4 litres, but physically it's quite compact from the outside. And if you notice, it sits transversely across the car, whereas most V8s go straight down that way. Now, Volvo says that's all about safety. You see, the more space you've got in the front of the car, the better it can crumple in a controlled manner in a crash. Now, speaking of which, being a Volvo, obviously safety is very high on the agenda. There's airbags all around, things like whiplash reducing headrests, and here's something new, a blind spot warning system. So you've got a little orange light in the dash here that lights up when a sensor in the mirror detects that there is a car in your blind spot. It sort of works okay, but I don't know, I just get the impression they're trying a little bit too hard. But I've got absolutely no qualms with the interior layout. Sure, a lot of people could criticise the amount of black plastic and big buttons here, but they actually work really well. They're legible, easy to use, you can even have gloves on. Perfect for this weather. And it's all indicative of just how much equipment you get. I mean, this thing's loaded, electric seats, leather, everything you can imagine, and even a decent sound system. And it's all for a fairly reasonable 85 grand. Now that's unique because most of the German opposition is well over 100 for a V8 model like this. But all is not entirely good news. Yes, there's plenty of Volvo flavour, and that comes right down to the dynamics, which aren't exactly where they should be, at least if you're looking at some of the more fancied opposition. Things like the steering, it just doesn't quite have the liveliness and it can get kickback over bumpy roads. But I'm probably nitpicking there a little bit because, hey, you do get a lot of car for your money. Luckily, you also get demisting mirrors, heated seats and rain sensing wipers. Now ordinarily, that'd usually be pretty useless in one of the hottest, driest countries in the world. But as you can see, Australia's in one of its worst droughts in history. Now, I'm off to find a dry bit.